Okay, I want to show you a couple little things here. This mainly is going to be about image planes, but I also want to show you how you can make this area here larger. So if you have a big screen or something like that, sometimes ZBrush, its default document size is not going to be as big as you'd like. You're going to have a lot of blank space around here to mess around with. It's really easy. You just go to Document, right here. And what I usually do is just click this double. Okay, that's going to double the size of it. Now, if you actually have a model in here, when you do that, it's going to warn you about it. And then you're going to need to clear the screen, Control N, and then draw that model in again with the new document size. It won't mess up your model. You just have to redraw it in by dragging it out from wherever your tool list is over here. Okay, so image planes. Pretty easy to put in and to adjust, but it's not necessarily intuitive. Okay, so let me get a model in here. Okay, I'm just going to stick, this is actually what we're going to be using for our walkthrough. Okay, so I'm just going to plug this guy in. Okay, this is just a demo anime head, and that's what they call it. It comes with a ZBrush. We're going to be dragging or putting some image planes in that then are going to let you change the proportions of this. One to be more like a kid and one to be more like an adult. So you get a sense of how the move tool works and working with symmetry and things like that. Okay, so image planes, you need to have the floor turned on. Okay, so right now it's off, I'm turning it on. And you need to have X, Y, and Z all turned on here. You don't need to, but that's useful. You can kind of see it in the background here. It is this grid-like thing floating around in there. I don't know if I do this, if that'll make it any easier to see. Let's see. I'll do it any differently. Yeah, you can kind of see it a little bit better there, the floor and the two walls. Okay, that's kind of what we're looking at. Okay, what I did just there was just change the background color. It's again in the document menu. I'm just going to click and then drag this back to this color over here, black. So if you're really crazy, you can, turn your background orange or whatever you like. Black is good for me. Okay, so what you do next is you go to the draw menu. Okay, and I'm going to just dock this over here so it's easier to see. So it's on the screen the whole time. Okay, so I've got the floor turned on over here, as I said, and there's a couple things over here. I'm going to close this guy out. Let's just move that. Yeah, put that back so it doesn't distract us. Okay, so we've got front, back, up, down, left, right. Okay, so the first one I'm going to do is front and back, like this. Okay, and I just opened that up. So that's just a little tab that opens up. I'm going to click Map 1. Okay, that brings up the texture window here, and you need to click Import. Okay, to find what you're looking for. Okay, so I'm just going to go over here to adult child profiles. No, I want front. Okay, since I'm doing front back here, and click Open. Okay, and you'll see that just threw that in there. Okay, just like that. And if I zoom out a little bit here, you can see it. You can kind of see it moving around back here. Now you can see the XYZ walls better. Okay, now that I've mapped something to one. Okay, then once you do that, you can move that around. Okay, let's say I want to move it over to here, and I can scale it. Okay, so that is the scale button right here, and I can start dragging that down. Now, of course, I could also scale my model up, but this will give you a little bit better sense of what this is actually doing. Okay, and I want to get that thing aligned like so. Okay, and it's a better idea not to move your model around because that can throw the symmetry off. In fact, that will throw the symmetry off, and then you're kind of in another place of having to deal with that. If your image plane comes in and it looks funky like this kind of gray thing over, that just means you're behind it. Okay, if you flip it around the other side, you'll be able to see it better. As so. You also have the ability to flip this, which will make sense in the next one we'll look at a little bit more. Inverse it, so you can make it black and white if you'd rather. Rotate it, and then there are some other things here, like this project on mesh is kind of interesting because you can actually have it show up on your model. Okay, I'm going to leave that off for right now. Okay, and then there's a transparency thing here, this opacity, which is just going to tone that up or down. It's at like 75% most of the time. That's usually fine. Okay, and then again, to snap these things, I'm just holding down the shift key and snapping it to the angles, which you can use also up here. Okay, I'll move that back over like that. Okay, and there's also a vertical, so an up and down too, if you wanted to mess with that. Okay, so once you've done that, then you can go in and start, sculpting or moving this thing around to fit this guy. Okay, now I'd probably size this up a little bit bigger so that the width of the head is the same as this existing model up here. Okay, but again, I could just take the model and scale that down from the center here as well. Okay, like so. All right, okay, so I want to put the other one in too, the side profiles. Okay, so for that, I can close this one. I'm going to go to left, right. Same deal, click map one, click import. You can import them before you do this too. So that's not, you don't always have to do this. Okay, so there's that, okay, like so. Now in this case, I'm going to want to flip this because it's going the wrong direction compared to my model. So flip, like so, and then again, I would move it around to wherever I want it to be. And you can edit these at any point. So, if I were to turn this into the adult later, I could move that over as needed, okay? So you can kind of have to back and forth this thing a little bit, like so, okay? So you kind of see here how the actual, now part of the reason this is doing this, getting bigger and smaller, is because I have perspective turned on, okay? And that's not a good idea when you're working in this, which we call an orthographic view, which is just no perspective really involved, okay? So that's going to alter the one I had over here as well. So now that I've got perspective off, I can then adjust this guy as well, okay? And my vertical offset up and down, like so. Okay, and then we can scale that guy in. So see, it does require a little back and forth, a little noodling around, but no great shakes because it's really easy to kind of figure out what's what. Now it might be nicer if you could just grab it and move it, but that doesn't work with this image plane process. Okay, so then again, if I just go to BMV, get my move brush size, and then I can start, pulling this around, pushing it in to match the model a bit more. Okay, you see I've got a little offset here, so I probably want to tweak that a bit more, but you get the idea. Okay, and if I go over here, like so, I can see how different this is compared to a child's head. The anime head is a bit wacky. Okay, which is why it's anime, just a little different look. Okay, so this baby over here. Anyway, you get the idea. We're going to be working on this with the walkthrough later on, so I don't want to get too much into it, but it's hard not to just mess with it because it's right there in front of you. Okay, anyway, kind of see where we're going with that. All right, so that is image planes, and that is how to change your document size. Okay, and that's all this video is about. Just move on to the next thing. All right.